This podcast contains strong language and adult themes. Listener's discretion is advised. Hey guys, this is the sexy co-host talking. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties on this episode, and one of our microphones was not recording the entire session. We didn't have time to record a new episode, so we decided to patch up the audio the best we can and release it anyway. So if you're wondering why it sounds like a wiretap on an undercover FBI agent trying to get information on a cartel boss, it's because we only had one microphone recording. We apologize for the subpar quality, but we hope you enjoy the episode anyway.
Hello and welcome to A Page Too Far, the show where each week one of us reads a book and tells the other all about it. Will it be bad? Will it be good? Who knows? Let's find out.
Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
I knew it.
But that's because you know what book we're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
You'd have gotten it if you didn't know the book.
I would have guessed Russell Crowe.
That would have been fair.
Yeah. That's. They
have a very similar gravel.
Right.
But Jeremy Irons turns it up to 11 in this particular film.
Yeah.
That is based on this book. So, my name, you're going to want to write this down.
Oh, God. I don't have anything to write with.
Okay, I'll tell you at the end. My name is Atra Ester Neonothelduin.
Gesundheit.
Yep. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Moraner Lifa Unen Hjartaonar.
Jesus Christ.
My name is May the Stars Watch Over You, and your name is May peace live in your heart.
Cool.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Little hungry, but when am I not hungry? That's the real reality there, you know?
That's fair. I'm going to do things a little bit differently in the format of this episode. I'm going to give you a basic plot rundown of this book. Okay. And I want you to pretend like I didn't tell you what it is and see if you can guess what book it is.
Okay.
And for the audience, see if this sounds familiar at all. A young farm boy, through a series of circumstances, finds something that belonged to a princess who is rebelling from the Empire. This leads the Empire's servants to him, and they massacre his family, but the boy is saved by an old man from an old order who offers to teach him the ways of a magic system while taking him to the rebellion. On their way, the old man dies, and a plucky outsider roguelike character joins the party, and they decide through another series of circumstances to rescue the princess from the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
A chase ensues, wherein the heroes are followed by the enemy right to the gates of the rebel base, and then a battle follows shortly after we see the hero grow and mature into a true warrior who trusts his heart.
So that sounds a lot like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah. Atticus Finch, like when he kicked the bucket halfway through the book, I was shocked.
No, seriously, that sounds like Star Wars.
Yes, it does. It sounds like Star Wars: A New Hope.
But I know it's not Star Wars.
You know it's not.
Right.
And maybe they've pieced together based on the words that I used, the names that I used, and the accent and the impression that I did. But I don't think anyone remembers this film exists.
No, probably not. Yeah. We did a commentary on it.
We did do a commentary. It was a fun commentary, too.
It was. It was not, I wouldn't say it was a bad film. It was just forgettable.
Yeah, there was just nothing spectacular about it.
Yeah, it was very meh.
And you can tell, like, there were some parts where you could tell they cut scenes to save time, and they probably could have benefited. But now, I mean, that is also kind of the basic hero's journey.
Right, yeah.
As well, which is what Star Wars is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also plot point for plot point, Star Wars: A New Hope. But that is not the book I read. I read Eragon by Christopher Paolini.
God, my stomach's rumbling.
Yeah, it is.
I hope that didn't come through.
As of April 26, 2005, it is 528 pages long.
That's a book.
It's a chonker of a book.
Yeah.
And I did not read that book this week.
Well, you don't have to.
I don't have to. I did actually read part of the book this week, but I didn't pick up a brand new 528-page book, read it in a week, and then have it for the show.
Right.
I summarized this book for the April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I already had... Go get some food.
No, it's going to take too long.
Okay. So I had this for the April Fool's episode. I couldn't for the life of me find a book this week, and I wanted to bring myself to review.
Right.
So I figured we just did a commentary on the film last month before.
It was fairly recent, yeah.
Why not give this book a proper go? When I found this book, I read it 12 times.
Yeah,
in a year.
Wow.
I found this book in 7th grade.
Uh-huh.
And I read it 12 times. I read it once a month for that year.
Wow.
And then I have read it probably 35 to 40 times since.
Right. Okay.
Yep. In the past 3 years, I've used the Audible app, and I keep bookmarks in the Audible app.
Right.
And whenever I finish a book, I bookmark the day that I finished it. And I have, I think, 5 different bookmarks of the times that I finished this book.
Wow.
In the last 3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
I love this book. The rest of the series, take it or leave it. this book is comfort to me. It's like eating macaroni and cheese.
Right. Well, it's refreshing to talk about a good book for once.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I figured too. Like, we've done so many. We started this podcast with the premise of doing weird and wacky books that no one read, and that can drain on you a little bit.
It can. It really can. You finish a Donatology and you're like, what's the point anymore?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
So we are going to be we're going to be doing this book. We are going to figure why not say it now. We are going to be taking a hiatus.
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
In a few weeks, we'll have a few more episodes. I think we're going to try and finish out June, maybe the first week of July.
We really want to just hit 50.
Yeah.
It just so it's nice and round, and then we'll go on hiatus.
Yep.
And it's we won't go into detail, but it's just extenuating circumstances in our lives.
Yeah,
It's just
some things are changing, some people are moving around. So
yeah,
we are going to be taking a break. We don't know how long. The plan is a month, maybe 2, hopefully. But we're not sure. But yeah, we will come back. Maybe a slightly different format, maybe not, but we'll see.
Right.
Here is the cover of the book. And this is the same for every cover.
I've seen this cover a lot.
You have.
Just everywhere.
Like very, very popular book.
Yeah, no, totally. It's a very cool interpretation of a dragon. I'm always down for dragons that look a little bit different from the traditional. I love the little antennae on it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what you'd call that, but that's cool.
That's good enough for me.
Very cool, very cool. I did make a joke about how you're doing the book we did for the April Fool's episode.
Right.
Don't expect me to do it, seriously. Like, no way.
It would take a month to record, let alone the time to
Yes.
research and actually notate.
Yeah, no, if I did it in chronological order, it would literally take me like 4 or 5 episodes just to cover everything.
Yeah.
So don't hold your breath. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Is there any fairies, fucking dragons in this book?
No, there are no fairies in this book.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any dragons fucking cars?
No, there's no cars.
No? Oh, god damn it. Okay.
Yeah. No, there's one scene where a dragon communicates telepathically with somebody who's in the middle of coitus with their new
Oh my god, okay.
But the dragon just like doesn't know what's going on.
Oh no.
So she's just like, hey, yeah, I mean, I need your help. Like, can you come help me? And the guy's like,
Oh, I'm coming.
I'm a little busy at the moment. Give me a few minutes.
Oh my
And
god.
it's very wholesomely done, but
That's good.
it's there. Like, if you know, you know.
Right. I was afraid it might be like some innocent, like a dragon tapping into its rider's thoughts when he's riding.
Yeah.
Is like a little child busting into his parents' room.
Yeah,
It might scar the dragon or something.
No, it's nothing like that. And I mean, I think the dragon knows what's going on, but she just doesn't care because she's a dragon.
Right. Do dragons reproduce that way?
No one knows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I know
say.
there's dragon eggs.
There
so,
are eggs.
Yeah.
And there are male and female dragons. So, without further ado, let's dive into Eragon, the Inheritance Cycle, Book 1. Prologue, Shade of Fear. Villain's perspective. The villain is a shade. We don't know what that is yet.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you what that is because I don't remember when it explains it.
Okay.
It is in this book. But a shade is somebody who can use magic
Okay.
to summon spirits. Those spirits give him extraordinary power. The only spirits that would want to be summoned are evil spirits, generally speaking.
Okay.
And the stronger the evil spirit, the less chance that the person can control it.
Right. It's like Pokemon.
Exactly. So when the spirit takes over the person, that's a shade.
Oh,
Spirit
okay.
Controlling a person.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing this villain does is really his fault.
Except for summoning them in the first place.
That's true. Okay.
Later on in the books, you get sympathy for him, but like, it doesn't track for me.
Right.
Yeah. Because he summons them to get revenge because some raiders slaughtered his family, but he misjudges the spirit and then loses control.
Uh-huh.
And that's how he's born. But like, he's already dead at that point, so I
Right.
don't care.
Yeah.
He is setting up an ambush. And this is something, you've seen them in the film, Urgles.
Yes.
They look like men with beards, right?
I barely
Lots of eye makeup.
remember them actually.
Yeah, that's what they look like.
Okay.
That's not what they look like.
Okay.
Picture an orc, but not a Lord of the Rings orc. A World of Warcraft orc.
Okay.
So they're huge, they're beefy, they have horns on their heads,
Right.
and they're gray, not green.
Gray.
Gray
Okay.
skin. That's an Urgle. They are a tribe of nomadic monsters, basically.
Okay.
There's many different tribes, many different places, but everywhere they go, humans hate them because they're a warring people, yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
So, this shade is running an army of Urgles, and they are ambushing a few elves.
Okay.
We don't know why. We know the elves have something that they want. One of the elves pulls out a stone, and before she falls unconscious, because of the ambush, they knock her unconscious.
Okay.
She teleports the stone away. Don't know where.
Is this like a Lord of the Rings type elf?
Yes, actually.
Okay. Gotcha.
The fair folk. Yeah. There's a line in there, like, why are they called the fair folk? But they don't actually, nobody refers to them as the fair folk. It's just a question that one of the guys asks.
Okay.
Why are they called the fair folk? But like nobody ever uses that term. And I think that was just like the Lord of the Rings seeping in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'd like to imagine that instead, like her teleporting is just yeeting the stone.
Yeet.
She's just like, teleport! And it just goes flying over a tree and then lands like 50 feet away.
And the guy's like, where'd it go?
Yeah. This witch is using magic to teleport her stones.
She does the thing like you do with a dog where you have the toy, you throw it and have it behind your back real quick.
I mean, I guess Urgles wouldn't be that smart. Maybe
No,
I'm wrong. Okay.
They're not. They're not stupid, but they're not educated.
Right. That's a lot of Americans. They're not stupid. They're just not educated.
Yeah. There's also a lot of Americans who are stupid.
Yes,
and
that too.
Educated.
Yeah. Educated doesn't mean you're not stupid.
Yeah. So, miles away, hunting in the Spine. The Spine is a mountain range.
Okay.
There is a young farm boy named Eragon. That's the name of the book. They did the thing. It's almost like it's his book.
He says, Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru,
It's
such a whiny little bitch.
It's Uncle Garrow.
Garrow. Okay.
Garrow, which I think is a cool name.
That's the villain in One Punch Man.
Is it?
Yeah.
He's hunting in the Spine. He's tracking a deer, trying to get food for his family.
Okay. Is he hunting a big cat with an axe?
No, and I don't get that. But I'm assuming it's a One Punch thing.
The Talipo.
Oh,
You told me about the Talipo, and the guy was hunting him with an axe.
Yeah. I forgot we did that.
Which is asinine.
Yeah, in some books he has a shotgun, but in the one I read he had an axe.
Okay.
Yeah. He goes to fire at the deer when all of a sudden, as he fires, an explosion shatters the night.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, that's a direct line from the book. And in a flaming crater, a little egg appears.
Okay.
Yeah. About the size of your forearm, in length.
Okay.
I say little. It's actually pretty big. And also, yes, it is an egg. I jumped the gun a bit there, but I wasn't going to hide it anyway.
You said stone, but it's an egg, and that's. Yeah. I mean, I guessed it was anyway.
It's the same thing
because
you've seen the movie.
I've seen the movie. Yeah,
it is an egg. He doesn't know that though. So the deer run away, and he runs out of rations. He's like, okay, I got to get back now. Like,
right.
This is it. This was my chance. But maybe I can use the egg and trade it for some meat in town.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes back. There's a beautiful panoramic shot of the valley where he lives, and it's very descriptive and it's very pretty. Picture beautiful countryside village next to the mountains with a waterfall.
Cool.
Perfect. Except the mountains are haunted. Nobody ever goes in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's rumored that the king took all of his army into the mountains once and lost half of it. No one knows why. So he goes to a butcher, and the butcher, his name is Sloan, which is just like...
It's a good name.
It's a good name, but it's like a very spiteful name.
Is
Sloan.
it? Sloan?
Sloan.
I guess.
Who names their kid Sloan? You want that kid to get punched. And he's a dick.
Okay, well, it fits.
Yeah.
It fits.
He's like, you don't have money. I'm not going to trade you meat for that stone.
Is that dickish, though? Like, he just doesn't see value in it.
He's also just mean.
Okay. Jesus, you're...
I haven't eaten today either. No, he finds out the stone was found in the Spine, and then he's like, no, I'm absolutely not going to touch it.
It's haunted as shit.
Yeah, but he's also like, when Eragon walks in, he's like, oh, look at the little farm boy returning to bless the rest of us. Or the mighty hunter, rather, returning to bless the rest of us with his presence. What did you catch?
It's like Bugs Bunny calling Elmer Fudd Nimrod.
Yeah. Long story short, Eragon gets some meat from him through somebody else who buys it.
Get some meat from him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And makes his way back to his little farmhouse.
Okay.
It's outside the village. They live alone. It's him, his uncle, and his cousin. His cousin's name is Roran. So we have Roran, Garrow, and Eragon.
Okay. Yep. Good names.
The names in this book are fantastic.
Yeah.
He is very good at coming up with names, which I think is one of the hardest parts of writing.
Right. There's interviews with George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Where he hates naming characters.
And he has so many.
He has a lot. And he's like, that's like the worst part of my writing is figuring out a name for the character. Yeah. And he says the way he writes is he can't start writing a character until he has a name.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
It kind of feels like that in his writing.
Yeah.
You really feel the character
like embodies whatever name they have.
Yeah, like Arthur Dane's Sword of the Morning.
Yeah.
It's very, that makes sense.
But that's what he says. He's like, I always I have to have a name and I have to have an eye color. Very particular.
He does describe a lot of eye color.
But he has a lot of names that are very similar sounding and some that are just straight up the same. Like, because there's a King Robert, there's a lot of other Roberts in the story.
Right.
Because in medieval times, that's what happened. A lot of people named their kids after the king.
Honor the kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And then there's Walder Frey, who just names all of his kids Walder.
Walder, son of Walder. Well, that's little Walder. That's big Walder.
Yeah. And then there's one that's like Walden or something. It's like a slight variation or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Walda as well.
Yeah.
I don't think we've come across her yet. But yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like, he's very good at regionally naming too.
Yeah.
Like the Northmen are very a specific style of name. And like the Westerners and the Southerners, they're all very regionally named. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Winter is coming.
For real though.
For real though. In Eragon.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're rushing to finish the harvest, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They got the meat. They got it's like beans and all that kind
of
stuff. Yeah. And eventually they're snowed in.
Okay.
What they're waiting for is the traders, because the traders come once a year.
Right.
And that's when the town buys a lot of its like salt and imports. And
Yeah.
There's no sign of them until one day there is, and it's settled almost immediately.
I like
say
that.
something now.
Okay.
This book was written when Christopher Paolini was 15.
Wow, really?
Yes. And it was published when he was 16.
That's amazing, actually.
So I can forgive a little non-tension
Right.
in that scenario, because it's like, it's there. Are they coming? Yes, they are.
Cool. Okay. To be fair, that's very realistic.
Yeah.
From that perspective, that is a legitimate concern until it's not anymore.
Right, exactly. Especially in the day of no modern technology or any way to do anything else. You have to wait for these people. So the traders come. One of them identifies the stone. He's like, this is not a stone. It's hollow. But nobody that I know would want this because it's a curiosity. It's not like, you can't do anything with this. So
you'd have to go to a big city where people have money to spend on such things.
Exactly. And he's like, I could take it for you, but you wouldn't see the funds for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that to you. To find somebody else to take it. And then that kind of immediately puts it out of Garrow and Roran's mind, because now it's like, it's not worth anything.
Right.
But Eragon's like, no, it's the stone. It's cool. So he keeps it in his bedroom until one day it starts rocking when he's asleep. And it wakes him up.
Okay, it has a little guitar. It's like,
yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And it hatches into a dragon. Because obviously.
Right.
Eragon goes to the village storyteller, Brom.
Okay.
Who is played by Jeremy Irons. And in the film, not in the book. I mean, maybe in the book. Anyway. And he says, hey, like, I heard there were dragons before. And there were. So dragons had existed. They were all killed except one.
Right.
The king's dragon. And there was a group called the Dragon Riders. Think Jedi. They were keepers of the peace. They were magic users. They lived forever unless the rider or the dragon died.
Okay. Like they're killed.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Killed, poisoned, disease, I think it can also take them. But you have magic, so you have like cures for things. And they were very prevalent over this land. And then one day, the king, Galbatorix, who was not the king at the time, he was just a little rider, lost his dragon, demanded a new one, and was turned down because, no, we're not going to give you a new one. And he went mad. And he stole a dragon egg, raised the dragon, twisted it to evil, and through the acts of him and a couple of other riders called the Forsworn, which is a great name for your Swedish heavy metal band, killed all the riders. And all of the Forsworn died due to infighting or certain other events. So the king is the only one left. Eragon kind of knows this because it's just like gossip.
Right.
But like this is somebody telling it, like giving a full account, a full history.
Right.
He also talks about feats of dragons, like...
dragon feet.
Yeah, dragon feet.
Pictures of dragon feet.
How big they get.
On the internet.
Yeah. Go to wikifeet.com/men/dragon.
So how big do they get? How do they
They
grow?
never stop growing.
Never.
Never. So if a dragon lives forever, it will eventually, I assume, outgrow the planet.
That's they have to stop at some point.
It hasn't happened. Well, I mean, as far as we know, no. But when dragons get big things want to hunt them because it's the biggest dragon in the world. I want that on my wall.
Oh, humans want to hunt them.
Humans,
Okay.
Urgals, dwarves, elves.
Right.
Everything.
Okay.
That was also 100 years ago was when the king took control. So, yeah, so it's a shock for Eragon to say, like, what? But, I mean, if he took control 100 years ago, wouldn't his dragon have died when he died?
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't die because they're immortal. So Eragon determines to raise his dragon. He also gets a list of names from Braum of dragons in history.
Okay.
And he goes through and he's like, there was, like, Jormungandr. There was... That's not one of them. That's a sea snake.
Oh, okay. That's a great name.
Yeah. But yeah, he goes through, there's like a list of names, and the only one that the dragon responds to is the only female name in the list. Oh, you're a girl!
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he calls her Saphira. That's the name of the dragon.
Saphira's a good name.
Saphira it is a good name for a sapphire blue dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure. Yeah. Yeah. Roran gets an offer from a mill nearby to work as a miller.
Okay.
And he takes that offer because he has a sweetheart in town that he wants to provide for. So Roran leaves. He goes to a nearby town. And Eragon is shattered. Right. He's lived with his cousin his entire life. His uncle adopted him, basically. They call themselves brothers in all but blood.
Mm-hmm.
Although they are blood, but they're not blood brothers.
How far away is he going?
It's the next town. I think it's like a day's ride.
That's not too bad. You can go see him.
But Eragon has to tend the farm now alone with Garrow.
So he's not going to have time to do that.
He's not going to have time to do anything.
Man.
It's kind of like he's gone.
Right.
Like, he'll be back because he's going to get money to build a house.
Right.
And he'll be back. But that's months away.
Right.
And being a miller, he could lose a hand. He could lose fingers. Grindstones are not forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you could lose a nose. I've heard that a lot of people get their nose caught in the grindstone.
Gonna put your nose to the grindstone?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of doing that, but nah.
I appreciate it. A short while later, Saphira has been growing and he's been keeping her secret in the woods and like feeding her. And eventually she grows big enough that she can hunt on her own.
Okay.
This is like months and months and months later.
Right.
Some strangers show up in the name of the city, the name of the little town they're in is called Carbajal.
Okay.
Some strangers show up in Carbajal, as evidenced by the chapter name, Strangers in Carbajal.
Okay.
And basically they're looking for a mysterious stone. Where is it? What happened to it? Where did it go?
Right.
Sloane says, yeah, Eragon had it. He lives in this farm over
Fucking
here.
asshole.
Yeah. Eragon overhears this because he's in town. Roran left and he went to town to get something.
Okay.
So Eragon overhears this and starts to run back to his house, but Saphira picks him up and he hears in his mind murderers, fire, thieves.
Right.
Turns out this dragon can communicate with him telepathically.
Okay. He uses his telekinesis.
He uses his telekinesis to talk to his dragon.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a whole section where he had been teaching her the language and that kind of thing. So
okay.
It's not like it just knows. It actually has to learn. And it's really kind of cool. But it doesn't matter for this point of the story. So the dragon takes him away and hides. And then the next morning, he convinces her, he's like, we have to go back. We can't just stay out here. We're going to freeze and starve. So they go back and the farm is destroyed. They find Garrow. He's still alive.
Okay.
But he is burned beyond belief. And they take him back to town and he dies a couple of days later.
Okay. That's sad.
It is very sad. Long story short now, Eragon determines to leave the village and pursue the strangers and kill them.
Okay.
Because they killed his family.
Right.
He bumps into Braum, and Braum's like, what are you going to do? I'm going to kill them. He's like, how? I don't know. I'm going to kill him.
With my dwagon.
With my dwagon. And Braum's like, yeah, your dragon ain't shit yet.
Right.
And he actually can talk to Saphira, which surprises
Braum can?
Eragon. Braum can.
Wow.
Yeah, it surprises Eragon, too.
Because he used to be a rider.
Oh man. the absurd amount of knowledge he had up to this point wouldn't have foretold that. Eragon still has no clue. It's I love this book. It's not perfect.
Right. I mean, a lot of people love that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Brom gives him a sword. Doesn't tell him where he got it, but the sword is beautiful. It's of elvish make. It has a red blade.
Okay.
And a ruby in the hilt.
It's a lava sword. He had to delve 80 levels down in the mines to find it.
Yeah, you had to fight a Teostra. That's from Monster Hunter.
Okay.
It lives in a volcano.
I was talking about Stardew Valley.
Oh.
Two very different games.
Very, but apparently they have the same sword.
Oh, shit. Yeah, okay.
So they take off. Brom makes a saddle for Saphira.
Okay.
Just like a rough, basically just leather padding, essentially. That's
right
around her. Now, you may be asking me, they're going to the city where Roran lives.
Okay.
Are they going to go see Roran?
I would assume so, to let him know that his uncle has passed away, or his father, yeah.
You know, yeah, you would think. No. They go and they buy some horses and then they continue on their way.
What the hell? Did he...
Brom sent Roran a letter basically explaining the basics of what happened and just saying, like, be careful. They're going to be after you too.
Yeah.
Find out where you are.
Your dad died, lol.
Yeah, pretty much. That doesn't come back in this book.
Right.
But in the next book, you get Roran's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pissed.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably after he finished the book, he was like, oh, yeah. I better put something in there about that.
Exactly. And then the books follow. It's kind of split between Roran and Eragon.
Okay.
And it's very, very well done because Eragon is this writer who yada yada, all this power, and Roran's just a guy.
Right. That's cool.
And it's a very, very cool like tone shift in that kind of thing because it's like Roran is also a hero in his own right, but he's just a man. He doesn't have magic.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps it that way throughout the series, and I love that. Like, Roran never gets magic, and that's great. But yeah, from Roran's perspective, some people showed up, murders his uncle, and then Eragon ran away with the storyteller of the village. And that's it.
Cool.
Like, yeah, great. Fantastic. Oh, and people are after him now.
Right.
Fantastic. So, they pass through Theransford, they buy some horses. One of the horses' name is Snowfire, and the other one is Caddock. I'll let you guess which one survives.
Snowfire.
Yep. I think Caddock lives, but they sell him later.
Poor old Bill.
Yeah. And they cross the plains. Now, it's a whole dramatic sequence because they're miserable because it's just flat. There is nothing. So it's all wind. There's a thunderstorm. Saphira almost dies because she's flying up high and then the wind catches up to her and she can't land.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and she gets like thrown around. She's not huge at this point. She's big enough for him to sit on her like shoulders.
Yeah.
But she's not huge. So
right.
She can still get thrown around by the wind.
I thought she flew up in the clouds and grew instantly.
Oh yeah, no, that's in the movie. Yeah, no, in the movie she flies up into the clouds and she grows from a little tiny hatchling into this massive dragon.
Yeah.
Because that's what the movie needed it to do. The book, she takes several years.
Why didn't they just do a time skip?
They should have. They
really should have.
A couple of scenes of him teaching her the language.
Yeah.
And then like fast forward. But instead, she literally in 10 seconds flies up, grows big, and you know it's not a time skip because he's in the same place.
Yeah.
Having the same conversation.
No explanation.
Yep. She also learns all the language in that time too. Because she can't talk at first and then grows up and she can. The book did it better, but that's not a surprise either. They make their way to the village of Yazwak.
Yazwak.
Yep.
Interesting.
It is completely empty.
Okay.
As they're riding in. There's no sign of life. No dogs, nothing. Until they get to the center of town. The center of town, there is a massive pile of bodies.
Okay.
And at the top is a baby impaled by a spear.
Jesus Christ.
Very vivid imagery.
I didn't expect that. Yeah. It's very graphic.
It's a tone shift.
Yeah.
At first it's kind of lighthearted, and then once the farm burns and Garrow dies, the chapter's called The Doom of Innocence.
Mm-hmm.
It shifts and you see what the world is like.
Right.
But that said, it's still a young adult novel, so it's not graphic.
Okay.
Like, I think this is probably the worst thing in any of the books. They start to do what they can for the bodies, and then they see tracks, and they realize the tracks are fresh, and they're Urgle tracks. So they know that there's Urgles nearby, and the Urgles are the ones who did this because the spear is of Urgle make.
Right, okay.
Eragon had never seen an Urgle. He knows they exist, There's one, the tavern in Carvajal has its horns, has Urgal horns mounted above the door as kind of just like, hey, we
Jesus,
killed an Urgal.
We're fucking racist.
Well, I mean, everyone is. But yeah, they consider them, like humans consider them no more than monsters.
Okay.
Boogeyman.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, a little bit. And it plays into that in the later books, not in this one.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, the Urgals are the bad guys. And then eventually it's like, what if Urgals actually had feelings?
I want to see that. I want to see Lord of the Rings from the orcs' perspective.
Yeah.
Because there was a bit in the book about one, or it was in the tower where Frodo was captured, and one was talking to the other. He's like, after this, we're not going to have a whole lot to do, so how about you and me go over to this place, and we'll have all the grog we can drink, and I want to see that.
I think those two end up killing themselves.
They fight each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
Urgals ambush them. There's two Urgals.
Okay.
And they ambush Brom and Eragon. I almost said Roran. Brom is knocked out in the fight.
Okay.
And Eragon pulls out his bow, says a word that he's never said before, and his arrow hits the Urgal and explodes.
Mm-hmm.
The word he says is Brissinger. I know it as the ancient language word for fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds almost German.
Brissinger. It's the ancient language is very Germanic Norse based.
Okay.
But it also has some roots in very similar sounds, like Welsh sounds to Lord of the Rings Elvish.
Okay.
But it's not. It's very different. But it has similar tones at times. Lagatra ester neonothelduin.
Yeah. Sounds very Elvish.
Legolas could have said that.
Yeah.
So the Urgals explode. Eragon freaks out and passes out.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know why. And Brom wakes up, and they get out of town, wakes Eragon up, and he's like, yo, you shouldn't have did that.
Yeah.
And Eragon's like, what? And he's like, you shouldn't have used magic like that. And Eragon's like, what?
Yeah. I probably would too. I'd be like, I did?
He's completely right. He's completely justified, and Brom is being absurd in the scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, riders can use magic. It doesn't matter if you had magic before or after. Being paired with a dragon and being a dragon rider will give you magic.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the magic system works in this is very, very... It's almost cliche because there's other systems that do this too. But there is a language called the ancient language that if you have access to magic, you can use it non-verbally, but you have to be very direct in what you want. And any stray of attention will be a disaster.
Right.
So they use this language to focus their thoughts and to say what they want to happen. They're essentially casting magic spells, but it's saying like I said before, Jirda Vetter Calphus.
Mm-hmm.
If you say that and you're tapped into magic, you will break the calves of whomever.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That's also very much like Harry Potter.
Yes.
The words are just to help you focus. You don't... The higher level magic, like the dueling between Voldemort and Dumbledore, they're not saying anything. Right. They're just like, just shooting it.
Exactly. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on the magic system in this because I love it.
Okay.
It's fascinating because there's also the mental component. So if you and I are fighting, I can just say a spell at you. But in the time before you die, you'll have time to say a spell back at me, and I will die too.
Okay.
So magicians are trained to use that telepathy to break into other people's minds.
Okay.
And once I break into your mind and have control of you, then I can kill you with magic.
Okay.
You can't do anything about it.
Right.
Or I can see what you're going to do and come up with a spell to stop it. So it's only once that happens, then two magicians will actually fight.
Right. Okay.
So there's a lot of magician on magician violence in this, and it's just people standing and just like eyes closed, bracing themselves at each other.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of funny. There's one scene where it's happening. This is in a later book. There's one scene where it's happening, and two magicians are facing off, and then somebody just rides up behind one and stabs him.
I'm kind of picturing Scanners, where it's two guys with psychic abilities. Basically that. They both look constipated, and then one of their heads just pops.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens. There's one where a magician knows that he's going to lose because he's not as good at the mental combat as the other one. So he does something insane, which is the spell that he uses, the other guy doesn't know how to counter because he draws all the moisture from his body.
Oh, yeah.
Instantly mummifies him. And it's incredible.
That's an ability that Aquaman has.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he can literally, because he controls water. So you just go up to someone just and they're just like a piece of tissue paper.
They look like the end of Raiders.
Yeah.
So Braum essentially teaches Eragon magic at this point. He's learning. He's got the training probe.
Right.
You know, but his training probe is a rock, and he says, "Okay, lift this rock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now do it again. Okay, now do it again." And it's just a lot of repetition. And I like this too because he's also starting to teach him sword fighting at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually he gets branches and they hit each other with them, and it's sparring, but it's over months, and you see the progress.
Right.
I love it because it actually shows a character development. It's not overnight or anything like that, and there's not a montage, there's not a flashback.
Right.
It's consistent throughout the book. We're gonna kind of speed up here because we're getting into a heist.
Okay.
So I'm gonna skip a few chapters because basically they get some provisions from another town, give them the news, yada yada. Great, who cares?
Okay.
Nothing really happens that affects the story. Eragon's becoming more competent. He's learning how to ride Saphira. He can see through her eyes, like in the film. And I said when we did the commentary that he couldn't.
Right.
He can, but the film kind of changes it a bit.
Okay. Because in the film, it like zooms up. You can see heat vision. It's like really advanced.
It's not like that. Like the film does put a blue filter on her eyes, and she does see blue more prominently.
Right.
And I don't know if that's because she is a blue dragon or not. I'm assuming all dragons see that way.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very much like, because in the film, it's a plot device to link like that you have to become, your rider and dragon have to become one.
Mm-hmm.
The film, or the book, isn't really like that. There's the whole maneuver that they do where they fight from the tail, and she whips him off of her tail into the enemy.
Okay.
That never happens.
Okay.
That's completely made up. I dig it. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It'll work once, or it won't work.
Never seen it in anything else, so there's that.
It's the Holdo maneuver.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
There was a line in the Rise of Skywalker where someone is like, let's just do that again.
Yeah.
And someone is
1 in a million.
Yeah, there's an 80-yard line where he's like, nah, you can't do that a second time. And then there's no explanation for it. It's just like,
say that was 1 in a million and leave.
It's like, why? She just pointed her ship at him and hit the light speed.
Yep. Yep. It's never. That's why nobody had done it up to that point.
Yeah.
Because then it breaks the universe.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, that film has hyperspace fuel, which only one other film has. Do you know what that other film is?
I don't know. What?
Solo.
Those
are the only 2 films to ever reference hyperspace fuel.
Well, no. There's one reference in Empire Strikes Back, I think, when Solo was like, let's go to Bespin. I know a guy there and we can refuel there or something. He mentions refueling like one other time.
Does he?
Yes, I think so.
I'm going to need to fact check that. And that just means I want to watch Empire again.
Okay.
But
there is a throwaway line where he's talking about Bespin where he's like, we could also refuel.
Okay. Interesting. They get to Tirm. Now Tirm is in the film.
I don't remember Tirm at all.
It's the village with the fortune teller. And
okay, yes,
it's like dusk, and it's on the water,
little piers,
that's not what Tirm looks like.
Okay,
Tirm is a trade city. It has a citadel and then several levels beneath it of buildings, and
big place.
It's huge. It's walled.
Okay,
massive. It's the biggest city that Eragon has seen up to that point.
Okay,
in Tirm, the reason they're going there is because the bad guys are called Razak, and they use a very specific oil for poison, not for poison, for torture.
Okay.
And this oil, when applied to the skin, will eat anything flesh-made, but leave anything synthetic alone.
Okay.
So if it was part of flesh at one point, it will burn. If not, it'll be fine. So you could dip the point of like a metal spear in it, and you couldn't tell because the spear is fine. As soon as it touches flesh, it starts burning.
Wow. That's cool.
As long as they're not organic.
Huh.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. But this place could only, like, the amount that they use, they figure out that they could track where the Razak live because they could track the delivery of this specific oil.
Okay.
And the largest amount of it going to a place is probably where they are because they use it so much. Its other practical aspect is if you do certain things to it, it takes on this, like, acidic property. But otherwise, if it's just normal, then it's used in jewelry cleaning, stuff like that.
You want to be super careful there.
You have to do a blood sacrifice over it to make it.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Not friendly.
All right.
And I am kind of leaving things out and getting other things from other books as we go.
Right.
So I have more understanding of this than Eragon.
I thought it was like, just add a little strychnine and it'll even out. But it's like, no, you have to take someone, cut their throat open, and let it drain in there.
Yep, pretty much. It's a ritual along with a blood sacrifice. They don't go into detail, but yeah. In Tyrm, Brom finds out that Eragon doesn't know how to read, so he teaches him how to read. They also meet an old friend of Brom's his name is Jode, and that's a cool name.
Jode.
It's kind of funny. I thought it was Geod because it's Jeod, but it's Jode. It sounds like Chode.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I know, and it's funny. But he doesn't really matter to the plot too much in this book. He helps them find out where the records are and then disappears.
Okay.
They leave. So they find out where they are. They find out that the Razak live in a city nearby called Drasliona, and I'm hurrying this up because we've been going for quite a while, and we're halfway through.
Let's go.
Yep, book it. So they travel on their way to It's a lot of travel. This book is all travel.
Right.
On their way to Drasliona, Eragon bests Brom in a sword fight for the first time, resorting to trickery. So he is now a master of the blade.
Cool.
That's what Brom says. Yeah. Drasliona, however, is not like Tyrm. Drasliona is a walled city. It's gated, but near the gate there are slums, and there's a heavy slave trade. And overlooking it all is a cathedral that is part of religion of Helgrind, and Helgrind is a series of 3 peaks, It's like a almost like a butte.
Okay.
Where it's like this giant stone structure, and then at the top there's 3 spires.
Okay.
And that religion is all about self-sacrifice. So the less attached you are to the material world, the better off you are, which means that its priests are often missing limbs and things like that, because they show that, like, I don't need this. I'm a metaphysical being. Yoink.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Very brutal. Very bloody.
I was going to say that's kind of like Diogenes' philosophy, but then you said cut off limbs. It's like, oh, well, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah. No, this is very much not. And go figure, the religion about cutting off limbs is where the Razak are hiding.
Wow.
Man, who'd have thought?
Yeah. Didn't you say they were bug-like?
Yes. So, I didn't describe them. I did in the commentary, but they are humanoid shaped, but they have a hunchback because they have a carapace, almost like a beetle.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a beak and like a barbed tongue, and but they can speak. And Brom mentions the line. He's like, no one knows how they make the sounds for our language,
right?
Because they don't have lips.
Huh.
And I think it's funny that they include that, because he's like, yeah, no one knows. Move on.
I mean, there's birds like ravens can learn to talk, and they don't have
That's
lips.
True.
So
and parrots and
yeah.
That. I just think it's kind of funny that Christopher Paolini thought enough ahead to be like, okay, this is a problem. No one cares.
Yeah. They weird as fuck. Kill them.
Yeah, exactly. But they also have bulbous eyes, like huge glowing eyes. They're luminous. They reflect a lot of light.
Right. Okay.
They're very, very good at seeing in the dark. So they go to Helgrind, and the Razak ambush them.
Okay.
In the chase, they make it outside the city. I'm sorry, they don't go to Helgrind. They go to Drasliona, the city. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I misspoke. And the one person don't at me. The Razak ambush them. They escape the city, and they run as far as they can, and they make camp for a night.
Okay.
While they do that, the Razak ambush them again.
Damn.
And Brom dies by throwing himself in front of a knife that's meant for Eragon. So Razak threw a knife at them. Brom dives in front of it. They are saved by one person whose name is Murtagh.
Okay.
Who fires a bunch of arrows at the Razak and scares them off.
Okay, I think I remember him.
Yeah.
He's the edgy Sasuke looking.
I suggest you leave quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, although in the book he's Scottish.
I suggest you... Fuck.
I suggest you leave quickly.
There we go. Okay.
Murtagh.
I'm out of practice, man.
Yes. And actually they identify him by his accent later, and it's pretty funny. So, I skipped a lot of this book so far. Like a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say there seems to be a lot more detail than the movie so far, but yeah.
Yeah, and I've skipped, like, there's a part where Eragon breaks his hand when they're sparring, or, well, like, before they spar, so then he has to spar with his left hand, so then he becomes ambidextrous with his sword.
Okay. Okay.
Because he can't do anything wrong. And Brom dies. They bury him, they basically dig a pit in sandstone using magic.
Okay.
Bury him in it, and then Saphira turns it into diamond.
Okay. So that was at the end of the film.
That was.
Yeah.
And And this is about the halfway point of the book.
So they just had him die at a different point then.
Pretty much. It's not so in the film that happens, and then they immediately go to the Resistance, and then there's a final battle.
Right.
There's a little bit more in this.
Okay.
Because they switch the order of some things. So in this, that happens. Then Eragon has a dream of the elf from the beginning, and they happen to. Brom had a contact that he was going to meet.
Okay.
Who lived in a city called Gilead, which is northeast.
Okay.
Of Dresslion.
It's also that was lifted out of the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. There's a few names that are like that. I like it for a city name though, as opposed to a person.
Yeah.
But I mean, take it or leave it either way. So Brom had a contact in Gilead. That's where they were going to meet when they were ambushed in Dressliona.
Mm-hmm. So
they continue to go to Gilead. They are once again ambushed in Gilead.
God damn.
Yeah, it keeps happening. This time, Eragon is captured and drugged.
Okay.
In the prison that he's taken to, which is in Gilead, which is where they were going, he finds the elf princess.
Convenient.
Very.
All right.
Yeah, and he's like, I didn't think she was real. I just dreamed about this woman.
There is a rule in writing, which is you can always use coincidence to get your characters into trouble.
Not out of it.
Not out of it.
Yep. And he does that. He does not. It's not coincidental any way that they escape, because they do escape, because of course they do, because the book doesn't end here.
But was he trying to find her before, or is this just he sees her and he's like, I'll help you out?
He was dreaming about her, and he like flippantly remarks, like, maybe we should just check every prison. But he doesn't think she's real.
Okay.
He's like, the dream is so real that I feel like she's real, but like he has no idea.
Right. Okay.
We know that she's real because we saw the beginning.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's no indication as to whether or not she's an actual person, existing or anything like that. Until he sees her in Gilead. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, there's magic going on here. Like something's happening.
Right.
It's not explained in this book why he was dreaming about her. It is kind of explained in the last book, or the third to last.
Okay.
Third book. Yeah. But long story short, Brom was Eragon's father.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you find that out after a fake out of saying somebody else was his father.
Okay. Well, they're like, the king is your father. What?
Morzan, the king's the leader of the Forsworn.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like, yeah, he was your father because he's Murtag's father. Morzan is Murtag's father. And Morzan had a consort who was Eragon's mother. So him and Murtag are half brothers.
Right.
But
it's not the half he was thinking of.
Well, right, because they're under the impression that they're full brothers.
Right.
Until they find out that no, they are half brothers.
Okay.
But that's over the course of 3 different books.
Did Bronn know?
Bronn knew.
Okay. I just called him Bronn, not Brom, but yeah.
He did know. He did not want to distract Eragon, but he wanted to live close enough. So we're going to go into the backstory here.
Okay.
Brom, dragon rider.
Yeah.
Dragon was killed.
Yes.
Brom started the resistance to the Varden.
Yep.
Okay. Brom, through a series of adventures, plotted to destroy the Forsworn, and that's how they all died, except for the ones who died from like infighting and that kind of thing.
And he got a sword from killing another dragon rider.
A sword from killing Morzan.
Okay.
It was Morzan's sword. Morzan is the big bad of the Forsworn.
Right.
Galbatorix is the king. Morzan's the second in command. Morzan is Murtag's father, and he has a consort named Selena. Okay. Selena is Eragon's mother. Selena is Murtag's mother.
Okay.
Brom infiltrates Morzan's palace as a servant. Morzan knows who he is, but he's almost never there. So Brom disguises himself, infiltrates himself as a servant, and then basically plots to kill Morzan.
Right.
But falls in love with Selena. They bang. Selena becomes pregnant.
Okay.
Selena goes back to her home in Carvajal, which is where we started the beginning of this book.
Right.
And gives birth to Eragon. Gives him to her brother Garrow.
Okay.
Who's Eragon's uncle. And then disappears because she is basically, think Mara Jade. She's like the Emperor's hand.
Okay.
Morzan trains her in magic a little bit.
I like it.
It's pretty cool. She dies.
Okay.
No one really knows what's become of her. Brom's devastated. Kills Morzan. Takes his sword. Hides in Carvajal. Knows that Selena went there and had family there. So he knows, and he knows she was pregnant. So he knows Eragon's his son. But it's better for Eragon if he disappears.
Right.
So he becomes the village storyteller, has no connection to Eragon, but he wants to live close enough to see him grow.
Okay.
There's a scene where Eragon uses a bunch of magic and almost kills himself.
Okay.
And he's out for like 3 days. During that time, Brahm talks to Saphira and tells her everything.
Okay.
But says, you have to promise me in the ancient language that you won't tell him until he finds this out on his own.
Okay.
And then I have a message for him once he does. So if you promise in the ancient language, you cannot lie. You have to tell the truth. So Saphira says, I promise. So she can't tell Eragon. So she knows the whole time.
Okay.
But he doesn't. Until he finds out later. And then Saphira's like, I'm so glad I can tell you now.
Right.
It's like, you've been having such existential crisis for 2 books. And I have the answers, but I can't tell you. It's very like R2-D2 knowing that Darth Vader and Luke and all that kind of stuff. But like, he just never tells him for some reason because he wants to watch the world burn.
Or when he has the map to where Luke is and just arbitrarily wakes up at some point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that. So yeah, that's kind of what happens. So Brahm knows, and Brahm does take steps as his father, but not in the first book.
Right.
So Eragon is traveling with Murtagh now. They go to Gilead, they get captured. Murtagh saves them. They fight the Shade from the beginning, Durza.
Okay.
And Murtagh shoots him in between the eyes, and he vanishes in a puff of smoke. Awesome, you killed him. They didn't kill him.
Right. You have to hit him in the heart, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You have to hit him in the heart. Yeah, you see, you remember?
I remember some things.
Yeah. They rescue the elf. Her name is Arya. It's spelled differently, but
okay.
Yeah. She is a princess of the elves, and she was chosen to guard Saphira's egg. And when Durza ambushed her, she tried to send it to Brahm, but she sent it to Brahm's next of kin.
Right. Okay.
On accident, because it was a very imprecise magic, and she didn't have a chance to
like focus the spell.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So she is poisoned with a very specific poison that has a very specific antidote that only the resistance have.
Okay.
The poison's called the Skilnabrach. Skilnabrach. And the antidote is Tunavor's nectar. I know this book way too much.
Yeah.
So basically they have to cross the desert, get to the Varden as fast as they can, because the Varden live they call them the Boer Mountains in the movie.
Okay.
But they switch them. It's Beor, so it's the Beor Mountains, not the Boer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
For some reason, Jeremy Irons messed up that pronunciation because he only says it once.
Right.
The Varden are in the mountains. Arya mentally talks to Eragon and gives him like a map, basically.
Okay.
So I used to go to the same youth camp every year.
Okay.
I had a digital camera.
Right.
And the one year I held the camera to the car window and just held the shutter button, and it just took a photo like every few frames.
Okay.
And I had the entire trip in a photo album.
Interesting.
It was my first year with the camera. I'd never taken pictures before, and I was like, this seems cool. Click, click, click. Click, click, click.
How much memory did it have?
Like 4 gigs. Maybe 8 gigs.
What was so how many photos altogether was it?
1,000-ish.
1,000, damn. You didn't go very far then, did you?
It was like 4 hours.
There's no way. There's no way a picture every few seconds for 4 hours is 1,000.
I don't know. This was like, I don't remember.
Maybe it's like a picture every 5 seconds, maybe.
It wasn't 5 seconds because you could see the previous picture. Like in the picture, you could see where the next picture was.
You held the camera for 4 hours there.
Out the window, yeah. I was bored.
I don't know if I believe that. That's a feat.
It was fun.
That's sheer willpower there.
Yeah, and then I would scroll through and I'd be like, oh man, I remember this drive.
80% is just trees.
It was highway.
Oh, okay.
80% of it was highway.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to take not 80, is 86 or whatever. The one that goes from Erie to Jamestown.
Yeah.
29, and then Jamestown crosses over to something else. While they're running through the desert, a group of Urgles is chasing them. And I say a group, it's a horde.
Okay.
So they're being pursued, and they make it through the desert, they make it through the mountains, and they end up on the door to where the Varden are, which is where Eragon says, Jir to their Calphus. And the Varden kill all those Urgles.
Okay.
But they're super suspicious of them because they showed up with a bunch of Urgles.
Right, yeah.
Bruh.
That would be the perfect cover.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, just pretend you're chasing us, and we'll just get in. Yeah.
So they have people, it's the Varden's policy to have 2 magicians examine the minds of anyone who comes in.
Okay.
So they do, and they realize that Eragon knew Brahm and was being trained by him and was told to come here by Arya. Like, they realize he's telling the truth, and they show up with Arya.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we rescued your princess. we're really here for good reasons, I promise.
Right.
Except for Murtagh. So Murtagh had been trying to run away the whole time, but there really wasn't a chance that he wouldn't have been pursued.
Right.
So he ends up going there, and that's when they find out that he is the son of Morzan. And the way they find out is because he has the same accent as Morzan. And
Okay.
Ajahad's the leader of the Varden. He's like, I know that voice.
Right.
Only one man had that voice, and he gave me this scar across my chest. And Murtagh's like, oh, convenient. I have a scar on my back that's the only thing he gave me, aside from my accent.
Right.
So Murtagh hates him, but like, obviously, he's the son of the Forsworn, so he can't be trusted, so they hold him in a cell.
Right. Okay.
There's a lot of politics in this. They meet the dwarves who own the city where they're hiding. It's a city inside a mountain. It's called Farthendor.
Right.
And the city's called Tronchim. The mountain's Farthendor. The city's Tronchim. Dwarves weren't in the film at all.
Yeah. No, I don't remember them at all.
And they don't add a lot to this book. But
Okay.
They are essential to the rest of the series.
Okay.
And I think they were going to add them, but yeah, in this book, I can see why they didn't put them in. Doesn't mean I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
But so Eragon befriends a dwarf named Oric, who is the nephew of the dwarf king, whose name is Hrothgar.
Hrothgar.
Who
Hi, Hrothgar.
Hrothgar, who holds Hammer Volland.
Okay.
And it's very, very Norse, and it's great.
Yeah.
And they're very stereotypical. They're gem miners, but they're different dwarf clans. There's like 12 clans, I think. And they all do different things. So the clan that owns Farthendor and Tronchim are the gem miners and the delvers. They're called Durgrimst in Geatum, which is clan in Geatum.
Okay.
And they're the metal workers and the miners. There's a clan that is in charge of farming. There's a clan that's the religious order. They're called Eswelden Rakanuin. There's a clan that's like specifically about trading, and they all have different things, and they all work together to build the society. It's really, really cool. None of that's in this book. It's really sad. That's all expounded on in the second book. And Durgrim's Quan, I'm sorry, is the religious one, as well as Rakanuin are like the terrorists.
I love how happy you are to recite all this.
I know. I'm so enthusiastic about this book. I want to do more, but like, I don't want to do more. So I'm telling you. Right. Tell you. And we are almost done here. So, long story short, Eragon has some good relations and some bad relations. He gets a suit of armor, armor for Saphira from Hrothgar.
Okay.
Because they know there's a battle coming. They surmise from letters that those Urgles had who were chasing them that they were supposed to meet somewhere and that they were going to attack the Varden. So they know that they're going to be attacked. So they start preparing defenses. Long story short, there's a big battle. They also find out that Durza isn't dead because they didn't shoot him through the heart.
Okay.
There's a big battle. It ends with Saphira and Arya on the top of Farthendor. And there is a giant ruby, it's a star sapphire. It's a red sapphire.
Okay.
Massive, like hundreds of feet across.
Jesus.
It took the guy who carved it out of, because it was just an unpolished rock.
Right.
He carved it. It took him, I think, 30 years.
Jesus.
And he died as soon as he finished it.
Right.
His wife left him as well.
It's like Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Painting the system, like he crippled himself because he dedicated himself to that piece of art.
Yeah. Very, very similar. And it's hanging in the ceiling too.
Yeah.
So Arya and Saphira are up there. Saphira's kind of injured, which is why she's there, and Arya's like helping her.
Okay.
Eragon is at the bottom, and Durza appears. And they 1v1. Eragon is no match because Durza has all this kind of magic power. He's super, super, super strong.
Right.
But Arya breaks the Star Sapphire, and as it falls, Saphira breathes a bunch of fire, and it's distracting enough that Durza looks up and Eragon stabs him through the heart.
Cool.
And I completely rushed through the end of this book. There is so much more that happens.
It's battle stuff, we always rush through that stuff.
Exactly. They fight. The book ends with Eragon having a massive scar across his back.
Okay.
Because Durza slashed him, and that will plague him in the future. It also matches Murtagh's scar, which he has. So when they find out they're brothers, it's like, oh, but we have the same scar now. Because they don't know that in this book yet.
Right.
It also ends with a mysterious entity telling Eragon to come see him in the elf city of Elismera.
Okay.
Turns out that's another rider. Spoiler alert.
Cool.
It's the last of the riders who was a teacher. And he wants to teach Eragon.
Is he the last of the riders, though?
Well, there's Galbatorix. He was the last of the old order.
Okay.
So there was Brom, who was a rider, but he lost his dragon. This is a rider and a dragon.
Okay.
And there's Galbatorix. So this is the last of the old riders, and then there's Eragon.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
And then there's the king. So that's the end of the first book. It is Star Wars: A New Hope.
Right. Yeah.
Plot point for plot point, beat for beat.
It's a very, very simple plot.
Yeah.
Which I think are honestly the best. My favorite stories are the very simple ones.
And they took something the size of Star Wars: A New Hope and made it 600 pages.
Yeah.
Like, it's very detailed. It has a very well thought out magic system. There's a disclaimer in the magic system as well, because there is a dictionary in the back of each book of the words that are in the book. And it says, like, this is the magic system that Eragon has been taught. This does not mean that it is the complete system.
Yeah.
It means that there are grammatical errors. And in this book, Eragon makes an error and blesses a baby, but it ends up being a curse.
Oh, no.
And then he fixes it later. But yeah, it's very like the book grows as the author grows the world.
Right.
And it's so cool to see.
Uh-huh.
Instead of just having everything already be established, the understanding of the world changes as the books go on.
That's neat.
It's very, very cool.
Cool.
But that is the end of Eragon. That is not the end of the series. He just wrote a sci-fi book that I want to check out.
Yeah.
It's called To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, which is a very pretentious title.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's narrated by Jennifer Hale.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And apparently, by all accounts, it's pretty good. It has some pacing issues.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of it is spent on travel time, and then it seems like they could spend more time doing other things, but those other things just kind of rush through. So it's not perfect, but considering he was 15 when he wrote it, he did have a professional editor. Yeah. But he was 15 when he wrote it. Fantastic.
I mean, you compare this with the Eye of Hargon, because he was 16 when he wrote that. So it's like a world of difference here.
It's a very, very good comparison.
Yeah. So on this show, we have a rating system for the books we read. At the end of every episode, the person who read the book must give the book a rating based on their experience. The rating system consists of 5 levels. The very lowest level is toilet paper. The book is only worth the physical material that it's made of, if that. The second level is shampoo bottle. It's something to read if you got nothing else to do. The third level is IKEA manual, competent but not entertaining, or vice versa, entertaining but not at all competent. The fourth level is Kindle Pick. We recommend you buy this book discounted or electronically. And then the highest level we can give a book is hardcover, instant classic. We'd recommend you buy this book right away. I'm not even going to try whatever you said.
Atra esterni o no thelduin, but roll your R's. Close enough.
What would you give Eragon? I know what you're going to give Eragon.
I don't think you do.
You're going to give it a hardcover, right?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to give Eragon a Kindle Pick. Because I love this book.
Right.
For me, it's a hardcover.
Okay.
But it is very cliche.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You've heard the story before, even without this episode.
Yeah.
There's no surprises in it, really. It's very by the numbers.
Very safe.
Very, very safe. This first book is. The rest of them, they do open up and they do get better. Mm-hmm. But I would say that this first book is a Kindle Pick.
Okay.
Because it obviously has room to grow. It was written by a 15-year-old, which I've complimented so far. It is also a bit of a detriment because it doesn't do anything new.
Right. Okay.
It's a very, very, very safe. It's a very consistent. It's a very, it is well thought out of a story, but there's a lot of it that's like, a lot of it they put in and then they retcon later because they realize that if you thought that through, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So okay. Justify some different things, which is fine. And it shows, I mean, it's growth of the author and all that kind of stuff. And he does improve as an author. But this book is not by any means perfect.
Right. Well, if you guys want to write in about this episode or about any other episode, you can email us at pagetofar@gmail.com. That's a page, TOOFAR @gmail.com. We also have socials. We have Instagram at a page too far, Twitter at a page too far. We have a YouTube channel where we post all of our regular episodes. That's you just search a page too far on YouTube and subscribe. That helps us out a lot, even if you don't listen to it on there. Just, give us a little bump. We'd appreciate that. We also have a Patreon. We have a lot of stuff on our Patreon. We give a bonus episode every month. Those tend to be longer than our regular episodes. We go way more in depth. We don't cut as much out of the episode. We also have outtakes, which are basically blooper reels, stuff we have to cut out of our regular episodes, and we'll put those together every month and put it up there. We have footnotes, which are long tangents, or we just want to talk about some topic that wouldn't fit in a regular episode. We have one coming up that we're going to release within the next month that's all about the series Love, Death, and Robots.
I think we're going to try and do that as like a full episode because it started with a footnote.
Yeah.
But it went like 3 times as long.
It was like 50 minutes, which is like a regular episode. So we're probably just going to release that. We're going to go on a little bit of a hiatus, and we might pause the Patreon.
Yeah.
And we're thinking of a couple things we can release during that time. We want to release that footnotes just free for everybody. And also possibly do like a best of for the first 50.
Every podcast has to have a best of.
Yeah, it's mandatory. So check us out there. We stream sometimes.
Game Too Far?
I think
TV/A Game Too Far?
I think we've streamed every time, but
we have streamed every time, but you haven't been there every time.
Yeah, I haven't been there every time, and the audio hasn't been there every time.
No, but we've been there.
So check us out at twitch.tv/A Game Too Far.
Yep.
We
Wednesdays for now, but
it'll probably change.
Yeah, with the hiatus, that's going to have to change.
Yeah. But right now it's Wednesday nights. Check us out there.
Yep.
Next Wednesday night. Hashtag Bobo lives.
Hashtag Bobo lives. Hashtag themed. Hashtag Seonorsverar Sitja Havas.
Yeah, hashtag that.
Which is how Christopher Paolini ends his interviews.
Oh, really?
About these books. It means may your swords stay sharp.
Escape during a ghost hunt. What's up?
I may not have unmuted the stream.
Are you fucking serious? How long since the beginning of Phasmophobia?
Yeah.
Fucking why?
Because I'm incompetent.